Hey there, future TEDx stars. So you're gearing up to create a TED Talk about globalization's impact on your communities in Colombia.
That's a pretty ambitious project for a language teaching program, right?
Right. But don't worry, we're here to help you nail it.
Yeah, we've got Carmine Gallo's talk, like TED,
Okay.
and Jeremy Donovan's How to Deliver a TED Talk as our trusty guides for this deep dive.
Perfect.
What's really interesting here is that a TED Talk isn't just any presentation,
Right.
It's about taking an idea worth spreading and presenting it in a way that truly captivates your audience.
Okay.
It sparks conversation and inspires action long after they've left the auditorium.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's more than just standing up and delivering a lecture.
Right.
So then how do these TED Talk masters actually approach crafting their talks? What are some of the common threads that make them so successful?
Well, one thing you see again and again
Yeah.
in those iconic talks is that the speakers tap into their personal connection to the topic. Like Bryan Stevenson, for example, the civil rights attorney whose talk got the longest standing ovation in TED history.
Wow.
He's a great example.
Yeah.
He didn't just talk about abstract legal concepts.
Right.
He shared his own journey of finding his voice and fighting for justice.
So it's about bringing your own unique perspective to the table
Exactly.
for our listeners.
Yeah.
That means exploring how globalization has shaped their own experiences and the communities they're part of in Colombia.
Exactly. It's about passion.
Okay.
Neuroscientists have found that our brains are wired to respond to genuine emotion.
Interesting.
So when you're truly fired up about your topic,
Okay.
it shines through and draws your audience in.
Okay. I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
But let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
How can our listeners actually start shaping their own TED Talks?
Right.
We've talked about passion.
Yeah.
Now, how about structure?
One of the most powerful tools in the TED Talk arsenal is storytelling. Brain scans actually show that stories activate way more of our brains than bullet points ever could.
Oh, wow.
Think about Becky Blanton, who lived in her van after her father's death.
Oh, wow.
She could have just talked about the statistics of homelessness, but instead, she turned her experience into a powerful personal story that resonated with everyone.
So instead of bombarding the audience with facts and figures about globalization, our listeners should try to find those human stories that illustrate its impact on a personal level.
Exactly.
What kind of stories would work well here?
Think about the people in your communities whose lives have been touched by globalization. Maybe it's a local artisan whose work is now being sold internationally thanks to the internet.
Okay.
Or a family whose dynamics have shifted because of migration patterns.
I like that it's about finding those relatable characters and crafting narratives that draw the audience in.
Yeah.
But we only have 18 minutes, right?
Right.
How do we make sure our story doesn't lose its way?
Focus is key. Think of your talk like a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble, revealing the essence of your idea.
Okay.
Structure your talk around 3 key messages that support your main idea.
All right.
Just like Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, the brain scientist who brought an actual human brain on stage.
Oh my gosh.
She structured her talk brilliantly around 3 key messages: the brain's circuitry, what happened during her stroke, and the insights she gained.
Wow.
Each part built on the previous one, and all served her main idea.
Okay, so it's about having a clear structure and making sure that every element serves the main message.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Is there a specific framework we can use to help organize our thoughts?
Have you heard of the Pixar pitch?
Wait, like the animation studio?
The very same.
Wow.
It's a simple but effective framework.
Okay.
Act 1 sets the scene.
Okay.
Act 2 introduces the conflict or complications. And Act 3 delivers the resolution, your big idea worth spreading. For example, think about how globalization has disrupted traditional Colombian life.
Okay.
Act 1 could be about the way things were before. Act 2 could focus on how globalization changed everything.
Okay.
And Act 3 could offer your unique perspective on how to navigate this new reality.
That's a really cool way to think about it.
Right.
So we've got passion, storytelling, and structure.
Yeah.
What else do we need to keep in mind as we're crafting our talks?
Don't forget about the power of emotions.
Okay.
Facts can be informative.
Yeah.
But emotions make things stick.
Mm-hmm.
Tap into the feelings that globalization evokes in your communities.
Okay.
Is it hope for the future?
Mm-hmm.
Frustration with the challenges?
Okay.
Maybe even a sense of interconnectedness with the wider world?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not just about the head.
Right.
It's about the heart, right?
Exactly.
So how do we weave those emotions into our storytelling?
think about the anecdotes and examples you choose.
Okay.
Can you find stories that evoke empathy? Maybe it's about a family divided by migration or a community struggling to adapt to economic changes.
Yeah.
By tapping into these emotions, you'll make your talk more relatable. And your audience will connect with your message on a deeper level.
Right.
Yeah. And don't underestimate the power of humor.
Yeah, right.
Humor can disarm your audience, make you more relatable, and help them remember your message.
Okay.
Think about Sir Ken Robinson, the education expert who had audiences roaring with laughter during his talk about how schools kill creativity.
I love his talks, but finding humor in something as complex as globalization, that seems tricky.
It doesn't have to be stand-up comedy.
Right.
It's more about finding those little moments of levity that make you more human.
Okay.
Maybe it's a funny observation about the cultural clashes that come with globalization, or a self-deprecating anecdote about your own experiences navigating a globalized world.
Like that time I tried to order coffee in rural Colombia and completely butchered the Spanish pronunciation.
Exactly. Sharing those kinds of stories can help you connect with the audience and make them feel more at ease.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've talked about finding those emotionally resonant stories and adding a touch of humor.
Yeah.
But are there other elements that can make a TED Talk truly memorable?
Yeah.
What about those aha moments that you often see in these talks?
Those are what we call emotionally charged events.
Okay.
Neuroscientists have found that these moments create a surge of activity in the brain,
Interesting.
making them more likely to stick in our memories.
Wow.
They don't have to be huge, dramatic things.
Okay.
Even a simple, well-placed statistic can be powerful if it reframes the issue in a new way.
So if I were giving a talk about globalization in Colombia, what kind of jaw-dropping moment could I create?
Imagine opening your talk with a photograph of a Colombian farmer using a smartphone to connect with buyers in Japan.
Oh, wow.
It's a simple image.
Yeah?
But it instantly challenges assumptions about globalization and shows how technology is creating unexpected connections.
That's a great example.
Right.
It's about finding those visual moments that encapsulate the complexity of globalization in a way that words alone can't.
Yeah.
Speaking of visuals, what are some other ways we can use them effectively?
Visuals should complement your narrative, not duplicate it.
Okay.
Think about Al Gore's famous slideshow on climate change.
Right.
He didn't just present dry data. He used powerful images that evoked emotion and made the issue feel real and urgent.
Right.
You could do something similar by using visuals to tell a story about globalization in Colombia.
Maybe a series of photos that capture the changing face of Colombian cities as they become more globalized.
Exactly, or a map that shows the interconnectedness of the global economy and how Colombia fits into that puzzle.
Okay.
Even a short video that shares the voices of people whose lives have been impacted by globalization can be incredibly powerful.
It's about using visuals strategically to enhance the emotional impact of the talk, not just as window dressing.
Precisely. Remember, less is more.
Right.
Don't overwhelm your audience with too much information or too many visuals. Keep things simple, elegant, and impactful.
Now let's talk about a crucial aspect of any TED Talk, the why.
Okay.
Simon Sinek, the leadership guru, says that people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So how can our listeners figure out the why behind their TED Talks?
It's about digging deep and asking yourself some tough questions.
Okay.
Why does this topic matter to you? What's the driving force behind your passion for exploring globalization in Colombia?
Okay.
What do you hope your audience will take away from your talk?
Okay.
Think about Martin Luther King Jr. He inspired a movement because he didn't just talk about what he wanted to change.
Right.
He talked about why it mattered. He tapped into those deeply held beliefs and values that resonated with millions.
So it's about connecting your message to a larger purpose, something that goes beyond just presenting information.
Exactly.
It's about finding that emotional core that fuels your passion and sharing it with the world.
Exactly. When you speak from that place of authenticity, your message will resonate with your audience on a much deeper level.
Okay, so far we've talked about storytelling, emotional connection, humor, jaw-dropping moments, visuals, and the why behind the talk.
Yeah.
Is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they're crafting their TED Talks? You know, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all this talk about finding your voice and crafting a compelling story.
Right.
But one thing I've learned from watching TED Talks is that You don't have to be an expert on everything to give a great talk.
What's fascinating is that authenticity is key.
Right.
Remember Ernesto Sirolli?
Oh, yeah.
He gave the hilarious TED Talk about his experiences teaching sustainable agriculture in Zambia. He didn't try to be a global development guru.
Right.
He just focused on his own experiences, his own missteps, and used humor to connect with the audience.
Right. He stayed in his lane and let his personality shine through. I think that's a really important point for our listeners to remember. You don't have to have all the answers about globalization.
Right.
Just focus on what you know best, your own experiences and observations.
Exactly. People can spot a phony from a mile away.
Yeah.
They connect with speakers who are genuine and vulnerable.
Right.
And willing to share their own struggles and triumphs. It's about being relatable.
Okay, so we've talked about staying authentic and focusing on our own unique experiences.
Right.
But at the end of the day, a TED Talk is also about teaching the audience something new, right? So how do we make sure our talks about globalization are both informative and insightful?
It's about going beyond the obvious and challenging the audience's assumptions.
Okay.
Think about Hans Rosling.
Oh, yeah.
The statistician who used animated data visualizations to completely change the way we think about global development.
I love his work. He made complex data come alive and showed us that the world is often much better than we think it is.
Exactly. He didn't just present dry statistics.
Yeah.
He found creative ways to package information and make it both engaging and thought-provoking.
So how can our listeners apply that to their talks about globalization in Colombia?
Think about what surprised you when you started researching this topic.
Okay.
What are some of the lesser-known facts about globalization's impact on Colombia?
Okay.
Maybe it's the role of technology in connecting rural communities to the global marketplace, or the changing demographics of Colombian cities as more people migrate from rural areas.
Or the impact of globalization on traditional Colombian industries, both positive and negative.
Exactly. It's about finding those aha moments that make the audience think differently about the world.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot between storytelling and information sharing.
So what does all of this mean for our listeners who are working on their TED Talks? We've covered so much ground, from finding your voice to crafting a compelling narrative to adding those special touches that make a talk truly memorable. Where do they go from here?
Remember, this is your opportunity to share your unique perspective on globalization and its impact on Colombia. Don't be afraid to be bold, to challenge assumptions, and to leave the audience with something to think about long after the applause has faded.
I love that it's about making a lasting impact, sparking conversations, and maybe even inspiring action. Here's something for our listeners to mull over as they finalize their talks. How can you turn your 18 minutes on stage into a ripple effect that extends far beyond the auditorium? How can you use your TED Talk to ignite a passion for positive change in your communities? And beyond, remember, your story matters, your voice matters, your ideas have the power to change the world.